I know, but I'm a little cold. I'm an old man. That's what happens. Anyways, hello, chat. Just I'm an old man and I'm cold, and she's like, "Why do you need a sweater? It's like 1,000,000 degrees." And I'm like, "But I'm cold. Because I'm an old man. That's what happens. Old men get cold. So, gotta put my sweater on because I am fucking freezing. Yes, he's cold and he's fat. Yes, an old man nearing 40. It's what it is, chat. Yes, I'm a bit nipply. Yes, my tipples. Why is this all... Hold on. Why is this all fucking jacked up? You're that fat and cold? Yes. Yes, such is life. Such is life, they say. You know, that is one of life's great mysteries. Yes. It's like the mystery of faith. Oh, a little cold tonight, Chad. But anyways, hello, guys. I think fat people get cold. Trust me, man. Trust me. Trust me. Hey, an LCW, send me an email because I have something you might be interested in. So please send me one. Hold on one more second, chat. All right, chat. So yeah, apparently I'm missing some of my stuff here. But anyways, I was just gonna be some props. But anyways, welcome to the show. Yeah, we got some. Yeah, wait till you lose weight, you'll be more freezing. I know when I was skinnier, I got colder more too. But when I was as a younger person, I was always generally I generally adapted well to the cold. I didn't get cold as much. When I had to start working outside at night, holy shit, let me tell you, I can't fucking stand being cold anymore now that I've been paid to do it. But welcome to the show, guys. My name's Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. We are live talking about some fun in the firearms industry. We got obviously Harbor Freight's not in the firearms industry, but they kind of did a fucky wucky, and it's pretty funny. And I think it's actually pretty good here. And I'm gonna have to. My TLR1 is sitting on the Glock right now, and I gotta go grab it. But yeah, no, that's not the Surefire one. I'm not looking for that. No, I had the Streamlight one, and I was just gonna show people, like they do other things besides flashlights. But okay, well, hold on 1 second, Chad. Oops, forgot something. All right, guys. So, all right. Anyway, chat, we are going to get into this. But first, 2.0 said, I got to open this. She's giving me I think she's just getting stuff I need off Amazon, and that's filling extra birthday presents for her right now. So, she said I got to open this today. So, let's see what this is because it's not my birthday yet, but I'm assuming she's just ordering shit on Amazon and doing that.
The garage looks good, babe. Good job.
Okay, so I have a. Oh, okay. I was wondering. I'm like, what the heck is this? It's just it's a box. It's like a pen holder or something, or a parts holder. On the bottom, though, allegedly, I like that. And then, because she talks about my gay little highlighter collection, I got more highlighters. So that's a good thing. You can never have enough highlighters when you're doing work. in the law. That is something I can definitely tell you. I use them a lot, and they are very, very, very helpful. So, yes, as she said, it's like, oh, it's like 33 days to your birthday, and I'm like, yay. So, that's what we're doing there. But let's get started. Let's get to it. I guess we'll talk about the funnier one first, and it is the company Streamlight. If you guys don't know Streamlight, they are a company. They manufacture flashlights, like very good flashlights. If you can buy them, they're not cheap, and they charge up. They're rechargeable. These work really fucking good. Streamlight is a very good company for that. This is a Stinger DS. It's an LED one. This is a very good one. And then what more importantly is going to be the subject of things tonight is their weapon mounted lights. And the one in particular is the TLR1. Now, if YouTube kills me for putting this on here, I'm going to neck myself. But the TLR1, it attaches to rail-mounted devices, primarily a pistol, because the idea is you're holding on to it with the pistol, and you could trigger it. You could turn it on temporarily, or you could turn it on all the way with just your trigger finger as you're holding it on a gun. So that is there, and it's interesting what it does and how it works. And where's the picture I have of it? So real quick, this is actually a very good picture of a TLR1, even though that's how it's kind of mounted. It's mounted generally right there on the front of a pistol, and that's actually how it looks on my Glock in Spiel. So that's what that has. And then what happened? Well, Harbor Freight, as it's known to manufacture great things out of the tangent industrial mining concern, to quote the great Ave up in Canada, as he says, they make knockoff everything. And if you guys have never been to Harbor Freight, or as other people call it, Hazard Fraught, they are a China mart. And for a long time, they were actually pretty ghetto. You would buy stuff from there that was garbage and it would fall apart. But nowadays, you can buy things from Harbor Freight and they last pretty good. They're pretty good. Are they the same quality of tools? No, but they're pretty goddamn close. They're pretty damn close. If you guys have never been to Harbor Freight, that's where it is. You can go, and they had great coupons all the time. And Harbor Freight makes, Hobo Freight is another one. But they sell all kinds of stuff, guys. And it's, you're buying China Mart stuff. So obviously there's some things you can buy, and like you can buy a nice impact like this. Like I've got my Milwaukee Fuel, and this one is only $44. And for what it's worth, it will probably run, and it's probably going to run as good as a Milwaukee, generally speaking. But you don't have that longevity. You also don't have the name. But look, it looks like a Milwaukee Fuel, doesn't it? You can buy all kinds of stuff, all the power tools they make. They sell power saws. They sell demo hammers. They sell everything. They sell grinders. If you can think of it, generally they got their hands on it. They sell all kinds of pretty cool, like they sell presses. They sell a lot of tools. They sell a lot of tools that are helpful. Well, and what they started selling is this. The Braun 1000 lumen tactical rail mounted light. As you can see, it's mounted on a gun. You're like, huh. Well, I'll be damned. Let's pull these up together. Let's pull these up together, chat. Huh. Ooh, wow. They kind of look the same, don't they? No way they would do something like that. Well, StreamYard did end up suing Harbor Freight over this, and it's very funny. I know Matt touched on this, but reading the complaint is actually pretty good. It's pretty funny how they get into this here, and it just shows you how ridiculous Harbor Freight was with this copying. And remember, this is coming all out of China, so, and to be fair, I mean, they say this is made in the USA, but like their blood is probably made in China. Like parts are made in China. Like I know they say they're not, but it's really good. StreamYard shit is durable. It's military, people who kill people for a living use Streamlights. That's why I have it on my pistol, because if I have to put in work in the middle of the night, I know this is always going to work. So anyways, you have Streamlight being suing Harbor Freight Tools USA. And it is a big thing here. And they point out for nearly 2 decades now. And yes, Streamlight is well known. It's a very household name in the light industry and light equipment industry. Yeah, there's a good chance these came out of the same factory. Yeah. Very, very, very possible. I'm a tier 1 sandwich operator. I know. And if I have to shoot the stereo in the middle of the night, I will fucking do it. But here's what happened. So, they sold gun-mounted lights bearing its famous and distinctive contrasting band on the lamp head. And here's something I didn't know. It's this aluminum ring that here, and it's a silver ring. And I didn't know what the hell this was. I thought it was something, a engineering and design function, just like Matt did for Fudbusters. I thought it was the design function. No, it's their signature thing, because when you look at where did I put the flashlight? Like, the flashlight doesn't have it. But this does. And a lot of their weapon lights do. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, I thought it was important. And it's not. It's part of their like sales. It's their mark. It's their thing they're known for. It's you can see it in different lights that they put up and they sell. And I'm just going to bring up a couple different kinds so you guys can see, but like this is their you wouldn't think it, but they do. They do. And here's a great example of some other lights that they do this on. Like this light, it's got the metal band on it. You've got a TLR RM1, it's got the metal band on it. You've got this, like they all have metal bands. It's very interesting how these all happen here. They have metal bands on their lights. It is a very common thing here. Any of their weapon mounted lights come with a metal band. This is their thing. It's got a metal band. They all have the metal band. It's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know this. I didn't know this about them. I didn't know how this all worked. I thought it was a piece of equipment. I thought it was an integral part of things. So the bands that make her dance. Yes. Yes. It makes you wonder, what is the trademark hidden on the Baldo? Yes. Wendell says can you guys see them? Were you able to see them? I was sharing them, or do I need to share them again? Oh, it took a minute for them to show up. Okay. Does the band do anything? No. It literally apparently doesn't do a damn thing. Also, god damn, my hair is long. I gotta get my hair cut soon. Yes. The ring of scratched off paint is super signature. I would never be able to tell if it came from them. All sarcasm included. So Harbor Freight is being sued. And they say that which is covered by federal trademark registration, we're going to get to that, is one of Streamlight's most valuable intellectual property assets. That registration has reached incontestable status and grants Streamlight the exclusive right to use the ring mark on such products. Harbor Freight, however, has co-opted this goodwill by copying and using the ring mark on its own gun-mounted light, the infringing light. See, now notice they have this on here. I think that I show this at Harbor Freight, they're not, the new version of it doesn't have the ring on it, which makes me wonder. And the other big thing here, chat, is when you get to this thing that Harbor Freight's doing here, this is $49.99. A TLR1 is like $160. So there's a big problem here. There's a big problem here. Big fucking problem here for Streamlight. That's a lot of money, a lot of things they're losing. So they talked about this is their most valuable intellectual property asset, the ring mark. And here are the two lights. They're pretty much the same damn thing. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you agree? And yes, it's very interesting that basically this got copied and whoever copied it didn't know why they did it. And this is a staple of Chinese counterfeiting. They don't know why the thing is done. They just do what's there. Like they copied all the other things over there. And it's true. These fuckers can get hot if you leave them on for a while. They get fucking hot. Here's a side-by-side shot. And it's, yeah. And what is my serial number? Ooh, I got a way different serial number than they do. So they say, in addition to infringing on the trademark, it is federally registered ring mark here, which it is an actual thing here. Because if we go on to the United States Patent and Trademark Office, this is an actual thing they registered. This is one of their exhibits they put together. Notice it's the Streamlight, and they are a Delaware corporation. They are out of Eagleville, Pennsylvania. And look what they do. This is for gun-mounted lights. And the mark consists of a silver band that encircles the cylindrical head of a contrasting color of a gun weapon light, which is mounted on a body, which is adapted to be mounted to a gun. The outline of the body is not part of the mark, but is merely intended to show the position of the mark. So here's where they're showing you where the line is supposed to be, the mark, the ring. And the color silver is or are claimed as a feature of the mark. And they got a trademark for that. So that is important here. And they did this in 2013. They registered it. Yeah. Can use a bright blue silicone ring. Yeah. Oh, that's a big. Here's the problem, though. When you're dealing with the Chinese copying stuff, they're not going to be like, oh, so sorry, 1,000 apologies. They're going to like, fuck you. We'll keep making them. Now, they say, as this conduct violates federal trademark and unfair competition law, federal patent law, and Delaware statutory and common law, because remember, we're dealing with Delaware here. Streamlight brings this action for injunctive relief and damages. They talk about what is this? Well, Streamlight is a Delaware corporation, even though they're organized in PA. Remember, everybody uses Delaware. Delaware has a lot of information, or Delaware has a lot of corporate protection. Although their attempts to go after Elon Musk, corporations are fleeing the state of Delaware because they fucked it all up. We're gonna talk about that one night here coming up. They say upon information and belief, yes, they believe Harbor Freight is organized under the laws of Delaware, but it's out of Calabasas, California. Although they're not sure. And yes, this light was marketed and sold all over the U.S., including Delaware. Now, some people were able to get their hands on them, but very quickly, Streamlight sued, and these lights were pulled off the shelves. Sadly, I went over to my Harbor Freight as soon as I found out about this, and they were already gone. Maybe they never even got there, but I really wanted one. I really fucking wanted one. Because apparently some people have been able to say, including Print Shoot Repeat, PSR, they survive full auto. Apparently they work good enough. Now, because this is a federal case involving trademark infringement and unfair competition claims, it's under the Lanham Act, which is federal law. So it's a federal question. It's exclusive federal jurisdiction. There's a federal patent infringement claim, and there's exclusive subject matter jurisdiction there. So they point that out, that this is, and because there are related state and common law claims, you have ancillary jurisdiction, and everything comes along with the federal question. Very much like Pixie's lawsuit against Destiny. You have state law claims and federal claims, and they do them all together. It's all the same conduct that happens. Now, they point out there's personal jurisdiction here because Harbor Freight's incorporated in Delaware. They've marketed, distributed, offered, or sold the lights here in Delaware. They routinely transact and conduct business within the state of Delaware. It's establishing the minimal contacts. Have they availed themselves to the laws and protections of the state of Delaware? And they have. They've committed acts of patent infringement here as well. Yes. They also purposely established systemic and continuous contact with the state of Delaware and could reasonably expect to be brought into court here. Yes. So those are all great reasons to show, yes, we're going to do this together. And Delaware is a proper venue because we're both located in Delaware. They do business in Delaware. They committed the infringement here in Delaware. And all these claims occurred in Delaware. Now, they talk about, though, Streamlight has been around since 1973, and they've been going for 50 years. Doing flashlights and related lighting solutions. Yeah, they're very durable shit. Yeah. That said, though, for most people, when Streamlight, it's because of their gun-mounted lights of the highest quality and reliability. And yes, they are. They are very fucking good. They are very, very good. And they this is where they get to the point of, police and the military and other government agencies and individuals that must operate in dangerous environments. So it's a serious business, though. The light, the illumination you put on a firearm, because somebody broke into my house and it's 2:30 in the morning and I can't turn on the lights. Yeah, I want this motherfucker to work. I want it to be reliable. If I have to shoot, I don't want it to break and turn off because of a gunshot. So yes, these lights are very, very important. Very important. Very, very important. Now, what happens? Well, the Streamlights wanted our products to be safe and reliable, and it has resulted in a customer perception of Streamlight among professional users as creating lights that are effective and continue to work. And they say since 2006, they've been doing the metallic band around the head of the light. And Streamlight has continuously used this mark ever since, now for nearly 2 decades. Yes, so since 2006, they were doing it. And yes, they use the ring mark on all kinds of gun lights, the TLR1, the TLR2. I don't like the TLR2. There's it's very squat. It doesn't look as good. I think it looks weird. TLR3s, those are actually pretty good. TLR4s, they're okay. And the 7s and the 8s, these are all generally pretty good whites. TLR9, that thing is, those things run forever. But they do it on everything. They do it on everything. And they say Streamlight consistently displays the mark in all advertising for its mounted lights and uses packaging that enables people to see the ring mark. They do this and they're advertised nationwide through online retail establishments. And it's hundreds of millions of dollars in sales because of the ring mark. They say that it represents quality and reputation to firearms purchasers. And the ring mark has developed, I don't want to say ring light, the ring mark has developed secondary meaning. The ring mark is particularly well known among gun and rifle retailers and collectors. Yeah, I mean, I know Streamlights had this silver band, but I didn't know what it was for. The ring mark is non-functional. It is in no way essential to the purpose of the product, nor does it affect its cost or quality. And that was something reading this, you're like, wow, it's literally just a fucking trap. It's literally just a trap. Joe says collectors, dude. There are there are flashlight autists out there, flashlight foamers. For them, it's about all the lumens, chat. There are flashlight autists out there, trust me. And there are guys who definitely join in on collecting. There are fanboys, like Sig and Glock and Smith and Wesson. There are Streamlight fanboys. They only use Streamlights. There's all kinds of stuff. Yes, all the Candela. Yeah. The TLR2 has a pretty good laser. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes. The ring mark is famous among purchaser gun-mounted lights. I mean, it's well known. But yes, it's interesting that it doesn't do anything. But that's their way of saying, like, you don't actually have to copy it. It shows that they intentionally did this because it's non-functional. And that makes it a little different because now you're infringing on a non-functional thing, which makes it easier for them to protect because they can argue, like, we're the only ones who do it. The same reason why they have Streamlight is protected. Because you don't need that on the gun to run it, as you can see from the Harbor Freight one. So they say, as a result of the ring mark resulting in its pristine reputation, Streamlight is built up and now owns extremely valuable goodwill. Yes. To protect its goodwill, Streamlight sought and obtained federal registration from the U.S. TPO, in the United States Patent and Trademark Office, of its ring mark. As a result, it is the owner of a federal trademark registration, and it talks about here what they did. And they said Streamlight submitted a significant amount of evidence to the PTO to establish the recognition and secondary meaning among end users. They say affidavits were filed, and they say as a result of this incontestable status, the registration shall be conclusive evidence of the registered mark and of the registration of the mark and the registered ownership of the mark and of the registrar's exclusive right to use the registered mark in commerce. So this is just how they're establishing it as incontestable. Like there's nobody else. And it's valid. It's a valid trademark. So, and they talk about the USTPO in March of 2007. I was still in college. I was a junior in college at that point. Issued a patent to Streamlight as an assignee. And they say Streamlight is the owner by assignment of all right, title, and interest of the 978 patent. The invention described is embodied in numerous Streamlight products, including the these are all their lights. And so they say in blatant disregard, Harbor Freight imported, offered for sale, and sold interstate a gun-mounted light that copies Streamlight's ring mark, and it did. They identify the infringing light as the Braun tactical rail-mounted LED light. And yes, they went out and bought them. That's the best way to show, like, your attorney goes out and has somebody go out and buy them, or somebody from Streamlight went out and bought these from Harbor Freight. And you're like, whoa, man, you know, the Harbor Freight somewhere in nearby Pennsylvania. You're just like, well, it's pretty much incontestable. So, I think it's interesting. I don't have a warning on the bottom of mine. This one does. But yes, once again, they're showing it's clearly meant to be a weapon light. I mean, it operates just like it. It operates just like it. And it's meant for the very compatible, most full-size and compact Picatinny railed firearms. Glock style Beretta 92. That's actually how Beretta designates the 92. Smith & Wesson 99s, the Smith & Wesson TSWs, etc. So any gun that comes with a 1913 rail system could take this. You could put this on an AR-15 if you wanted to, but it's mainly a pistol-mounted light. You know, it imitates the ring mark in a manner that's likely to cause confusion. I mean, I don't know if it caused confusion, but it would deceive the public regarding the source, sponsorship, or affiliation of that light. I mean, yeah, I think some people could say this is like an off-brand Streamlight. This is the one you want when you don't want to pay for the label. Like I said, probably came out the same assembly line. Really. So. Let's see. What are you guys talking about here? Anodize the ring problem solved. Well, and Nero saying, I know they have the ring mark, but no means that I ever associate with Streamlight. I understand. I just remember Streamlights having a ring on them. But yeah, I got them because of the name Streamlight. I bought this because Streamlight makes good fucking lights. Like I said, people when you talk to people who, go do things to people in rather unsavory ways, and you ask them, hey, what kind of lights do you use? And they're like, they use like Surefires, they use some Arisakas, they use Streamlights. Those are the ones you buy. Those are the ones you buy when you have to. And that's why I like my rifles, my AR-15s. They've got Surefire G2Xs mounted on them because Surefires fucking work, and they are, you can trust them. But I agree. I never worried about the the looks. I just used it because it was good, and the name and the reputation. But I understand why somebody could look at this. Like if I looked at this if I was in Harbor Freight and I looked at this, I'd be like, yeah, this looks like, I'd be like, ooh, $50, clink, throw that on the counter. Be like, I'm gonna try this one out. And yes, these little things right here, guys, are the little blocks you mount in, so they can mount to each gun's different rail setup. So, and they say that Harbor Freight sells a wide range of rechargeable flashlights and work lights that compete directly with those manufactured and sold by Streamlight. Harbor Freight, therefore, is offering the infringing light to the same or similar consumers as Streamlight. And their light is in an overlapping channel of trade. They're both sold online. In particular, Streamlight products are available for sale in Delaware and throughout the United States. You can go on Amazon right now. Yep. Harbor Freight's lights are available for sale in Delaware and through the United States through Harbor Freight's retail stores. And this is where they talk about and you see these names: Dover, Delaware; Middletown, Delaware; Milford, Delaware. Milford, Delaware has a Harbor Freight? Wow. I would not have expected, if you told me that about Milford, Delaware, I'm like, really? Milford, Delaware has a Harbor Freight? That's pretty fucking cool. I would never have expected that, just because it's we just drive through Milford all the time on the way to go to Bethany Beach in the summer. I just you wouldn't have thought that. You wouldn't have thought that as you're going through. That's, yeah. Can I take the comment down? Yes. 2 pounds, I take the comment down. But yeah. It's like we definitely, like, I know where Milford is. That's cool. Millsboro. I know where that is. Newark, Delaware. Yes. Rehoboth Beach. That one's a little surprising. Rehoboth Beach, Delaware has a Harbor Freight. And I'm like, that's where Joe Biden has a house. That is a bougie ass area of Delaware. Rehoboth Beach, like, they're like, it is like fucking pinky out territory up there. Like it's noise. It is noise up there. And I'm just like, when the fuck did they get it? When the fuck did they get it? That's just very funny. That's just very funny. You'd see that in a place like, I could see like a Dewey Beach, there'd be a Harbor Freight, but putting one in that's like putting one in fucking Beverly Hills or Bel Air. Yeah, the Mexicans that built Joe's house need tools too. Yeah. Erica says, you need a map for those of you on the West Coast? Okay, yeah, fine. Now, here we go. Here you go, chat. We'll open this up. So hold on here. I'm going to switch to layers. Yeah, here we go. So this is Delaware. So here you guys go. Here's Delaware. Delaware is not a big state. You got Newark, you got Dover. This is Milford here. And then you get to and this, like I said, this is, come down this way. This is where we used to, summers, you go down here to Bethany Beach. It's nice because you know what? None of the fucking tourists come down there. All the tourists stay up here in Dewey Beach. They never come down this way, which is really fucking nice because it's quiet. The coolest thing, though, is all along the beach here are U-boat spotting towers. Like all along this stretch, you can find U-boat towers that are still standing. But anyways, going up here, this is where Joe Biden lived at Rehoboth Beach. It's fancy pants. It's fancy pants. And then from here, you could take the Cape May ferry over to New Jersey. That's always a fun time. And then if you want to go do stuff, though, you have to go to like Salisbury or you go to like Ocean City if you're going anywhere fun. So Bob says, really add so much. Tell us more. Well, it's yeah. So no sales tax in Delaware too. How much do you think the deportations are affecting Harbor Freight sales? A lot, sadly. Yes, Harbor Freight is going to. Yes, Cape May's Elma Coast Guard basic training. Yes, as well. Cape May, New Jersey. Yes, but yeah, I think Harbor Freight is really fucking hurting right now. You know, they may go under. They say confusion among the purchaser of gun-mounted lights is likely. Okay, nobody buying a gun is gonna be confused. I'm just gonna be like, oh my god, I'm getting a TLR1 for a third of the price. Like nobody's confused. I know I'm buying a knockoff, but I'm gonna buy the knockoff because I want to try it because I want to see if it works. Like nobody's really confused. Like. But Harbor Freight is getting to the point where it's good enough for a lot of things. And it's not just something you use, you break it, use it once, and it doesn't work ever again. But that was good enough because you buy like some exotic tool for like a tenth of the price and you use it and it breaks and you throw it away. And whatever 1 in a million job you had to do is done. So there's a Harbor Freight in Hollywood. Well, here you go. Yes, Harbor Freight helps many a man get shit done. It's helped me get shit done multiple times. Stacy's go down to Maryland to see the ponies at Assateague. No, Assateague and Chincoteague are in Virginia. Because you have to go down by Wallops Island for that. So. Yeah, man, even then, a lot of stuff at Harbor Freight now is getting good quality. Streamlight has learned of multiple instances of actual confusion. Really? There's no way. There's significant potential for post-sale confusion. It can be seen as potential customers in areas where the ring mark products are expected to be seen, such as on gun ranges and in the hands and holsters of gun owners. And they say upon information and belief, Harbor Freight had knowledge of and was familiar with the ring mark when it began importing, distributing, and offering. I don't think they did. I think they just thought it was a thing on the light. So Harbor Freight intentionally adopted and used a confusing similar imitation of the ring mark, knowing it mislead consumers. No, I literally think they thought it was important. The Chinese guy, Han, the engineer, copied it because he thought it had to be on there. I think that's entirely what happened. That doesn't make it any better because that's what they always do. But I don't think they really thought like, oh, stupid Americans, we go to rip off their gun light market. No, that wasn't happening. That wasn't happening. Yes. Sig Sauer, yes, has a problem with the fake Romeo 5s that are so good. Sig dealers are selling them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Daytona jacks are all over the place. Yeah, my jack, my floor jack outside. My floor jack is Harbor Freight, and my jack stands are Harbor Freight. So like when I worked on my brakes, like I have the Pittsburgh floor jack. Fucking thing is built like a brick shit house. So, yeah, and this is a great example. So there is the Russians got the blueprints for a B-29. And it's the Tupolev Tu-4. And this is a great example of this. This is a good point, Earl. This is a B-29. The Russians copied it. And they copied the blowing blueprints all the way down to the foot pedals for the rudders for the pilots. The pilot and the co-pilot. The rudder pedals, Boeing was stamped into them. It was stamped metal. It had Boeing, had the logo in it. They copied it exactly. But that's a great example of if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know what you're dealing with, you copy it exactly because you don't know. If you copy it to the exact, like to the millimeter, then you know you did it right because you don't know what all these things are. They copied it exactly. So, Like it happens. It happens that way. And that is a real thing. So they say Streamlight has not authorized Harbor Freight to use the ring mark. Well, and the funny thing is they're only suing over these TLR lights. That means all the other lights that they're selling are great. And as we saw with Harbor Freight, look at the light now. There's no ring on it. Does that mean it passes muster? I think so. I think is that really where Streamlight's gonna, they're like, all right, well, that's fixed. I'm like, I don't know about that because you can see these other lights. These are copies of StreamYards or Streamlights. These are copies of Streamlights. Streamlight makes they make nice pen lights. Like it's entirely a thing. It's entirely a thing. So this is not like at all ridiculous. So I wonder if this is going to be enough. Like StreamYard's going to be like, well, shit. They're doing what we want now. Just Sharpie out the rings would be good to go. That's what's going on. Some guy in China sitting there. They're just sitting there, just like some guy in China's like, they're yelling at him, and it's like, just start painting over him. He's like, I don't understand why. Bifron says the Braun light kills batteries real quick. Well, yeah, you're not getting exactly perfect copies, but apparently these bad boys from Harbor Freight are actually pretty fucking good. So, StreamYard, yes, StreamYard's selling weapon lights now. Yes. Blueberry says, guy, little kids getting yelled at. Yes, some little kids getting yelled at. Yes. Oh, Libby says Acetique is in Maryland too. Oh, I know there's Acetique and Chincoteague and like Misty and Chincoteague about the horses and the ponies, and then there's like Wallops Island, the naval missile test range is right down the road too. Because that's where we went there for like the Marine Conservatory thing when I was a kid. Our school took a trip there. It's like a 4th grade trip. It's pretty cool. Got to go on a boat and see cool stuff. So they say the misappropriation light is causing irreparable harm. Is it really causing irreparable harm to Streamlight's goodwill and reputation for quality? I mean, this is the big thing here, though. It's causing monetary damages in the form of lost sales and lost profits. Yes, if everybody could buy one of those, like, yes, the I need to kill somebody gun is going to have the Streamlight, but the other guns, like, the Glockenspiel behind me, the 3D printed ones, and the 80%ers and everything else, well, they're just going to have they're going to have a Streamlight-ish light on them. So I'm not dropping $150 on each one. So they say the infringing light is also at least claim 43 of the patents there. And they say here are some of the patent issues. It's the mounting arrangements for mounting an object on a mounting rail, having a keyring feature in said mounting arrangement, which is comprising of. And they say they also the first and second clamp members on this. And that's how this works. With the Streamlight, you actually take this screw, and it's hard to explain if you guys can't see it. So the way this works, if you tighten this down, that's how you lock things in place. Because now it doesn't move. But when I push this, when I unscrew it, you guys are going to notice this side right here. Watch. That's how it pops off the rails. So yeah, it's like a vise, pretty much. Yes, some of you guys are correct. You succinctly, I'm just showing in a way people can understand what's going on there. But yes, that is Streamlight's. They have a patent for making the rail mounting, and it's actually very effective. It's very good. It's brilliant. It makes it so easy because all you got. And here's the neat part: even if this gets loose, on a gun, and your thing unscrews all the way, until you actually push down and the other arm moves open, this stays stuck on the gun. It just wiggles around and rattles a lot. So it is actually kind of important there. You know, the said object having a recess located on the object between these. And this is a recess here that they're talking about. And then this is what you use if you don't have, you're trying to figure things out, guys. So there's keying members, and these keying members are what you use to set up the gun to get mounted things, because Smith & Wesson has a different setup than Sig Sauer, which is different than Glock, which is different than a 1913 Picatinny rail. They all mount slightly different, and that's different enough that you have to do something. And this is for the Beretta 92. And they say the infringement is willful and intentional. Yeah, pretty much. So their first claim is for trademark relief. You know, they want federal trademark infringement. They say Streamlight owns the ring mark, and they want it stopped. And it's because it's confusingly similar. There's confusion, deception, and mistake. They say it's confusingly similar to Streamlight's federally registered marks. I mean, I would agree. Yeah, it could be. But the bigger point is they're losing money on this. You know, could it cause substantial injury to the public and to Streamlight? Streamlight's entitled to injunctive relief. And, well, Harbor Freight's pulled all their shit off the shelves. But notice what they can also get. They can recover Harbor Freight's profits. They can cover the actual damages, enhance profits, and damages, costs, and attorney's fees. They also have false designation and origin and unfair competition. You know, they created a false and misleading impression they're manufactured or distributed by Streamlight, or they're affiliated, connected, or associated with Streamlight. Yeah, because like I said, guys, we look at that. What would you say? Oh, it's a knockoff. This is the knockoff, or it's the off-brand version. You're like, okay, yeah, it's the off-brand version of the Streamlight. And they say that Harbor Freight's made false representations, false descriptions, and false designations on or own or in connection with this good in violation of 15 USC 1125. And the other thing I think is interesting, guys, when you come and look at this, notice what they're having you compare it to. Notice what they're having you compare it to. It says compare to Streamlight. Compare to Streamlight. You're like, which is at $154, and you could save $104. Well, so you can open this. You know, you're comparing it. And, you know, within the past 90 days, that is the comparison price. And it is a tough, you know, a quick secure attachment point. It's a durable aluminum housing. It's drop proof up to 5 feet, which I've dropped these before. They are tough. But there you go, guys. It's a direct competitor to a Streamlight at $154, because if you go on Amazon, how much is a TLR1? Why is this not letting me? A TLR1 is, well, guys, I mean, here's a TLR1 right now. A TLR1 is $142. So it's getting a little cheaper, but you could buy the exact same thing. Isn't the Streamlight knockoff Surelight Safariland? Well, yeah. Pitchlock says, are they really losing money if they're buying it from Harbor Freight? It's probably because they weren't going to pay for a Streamlight in the first place. I mean, I would. I'm only buying it because it's a cheaper alternative. But, like, I buy Streamlight. I have Streamlight products. Like, I don't I'd buy more of these, but they're $150 fucking dollars. And I can spend that $150 somewhere else. And they says, will continue to cause a likelihood of confusion and deception of members of the trade and the public. You know, and this is true, though. It could injure Streamlight's goodwill because people will see, oh, these Streamlight lookalikes are shitty. And people will say, oh, they're fucking garbage. You know, the third claim is federal patent infringement. And this is the patent for the way it's all set up. And they say the You know, the patent labeling the products embodying the claimed invention as patented and directing Streamlight's identification of patents to their website. And yeah, if you look on this, it is patented. It says this is something you don't have to do, chat, but in intellectual property law, it does help to focus. So you're patented. Come on, focus. Focus. There you go. It's patented. It's patented. I don't need $150 on a light because the fridge has its own light. Very funny. Very funny. Do they have these knockoffs on Amazon? I don't think. You know what? You know what? Let's. Ooh, Stacy, that's a good place to check. I don't think so because Streamlight is like a designated. Let's see here. Braun. B-R-A-U-N. Braun. Yeah. Ooh. Oh. 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 Okay. Well, not exactly the same, you guys, but I mean, you get O-light, and O-lights are bad too. But I mean, you get some very clearly garbage ass, like a $31. Like, I wouldn't trust any of these. But you get some other options here. A $25 weapon light, and then in the middle of it, there's a Streamlight TLR1. So yeah, there's like it's yeah, there's some fucking garbage out there. Be careful what you buy, chat. Be careful what you buy. But yeah, notice there's a bunch of garbage lights you can buy. And did I just call Streamlight, or did I call O-light garbage? Yes, I did. But look what you can, like, look at all the shit you can buy out here. Like, a lot of this is. So. And I've always wanted to try one of these to see if they're really that bright, but I don't think they're that bright. That's just fucking garbage. It's just all high-grade garbage. Yes, the Sig Romeo knockoffs are from Sig dealers and Amazon. I know they are. But my Sig Romeo is a legit one, so. Why is Sean blurry? I don't know. Am I good now? I think part of the issue is it's fighting Donnie back there. It's trying to focus on both faces. Timmy Carlson's Harbor Freight sells gun parts, well, gun lights for now. Ara says, where's the affiliate coupon, Sean? Yeah, I think you set up an affiliate link there, yeah. Streamlight does not have an NSN right nor cage. I don't know. At least I don't see it on there. Good point. Get a Harbor Freight switchy. That would be hilarious. You can't see? You can't fucking see, you retarded? What? You guys couldn't see that? I thought you guys could see. The blur is adding 75 pounds. Okay, that's what we'll say. And given another decade in Harbor Freight, will be selling high point firearms. Oh, God, I bet. Yes. So, Paul says, what is a switchy? A switchy is the thing that goes on the back of a Glock pistol that makes it full automatic. And switchies are seen here.
Switchy. No talk. No cat. No talk.
Yes, those are 13-year-olds in Chicago running around with fully automatic pistols and 30-round magazines. Yes, that's what a switchy is. Get a gun light for your gun light. Oh, yeah. So anyways, they point out that Streamlight has been damaged by this, and yeah, that is a thing. You know, and the patent renders the case exceptional within the meanings of trademark law. And yes, it's a very blatant copying of it. Streamlight repeats and incorporates references to allegations set forth. And Harbor Freight's been passing its goods as those of Streamlight. Yeah, like I said, they're taking advantage of they made it exactly look like one, causing a likelihood of confusion as to the affiliation, connection, or association. And yeah, I mean, could it be? Sure, it very well could be. So it's part of the Deceptive Trade Practices Act. And this is Delaware state law, and it prohibits conduct that causes a likelihood of confusion or misunderstanding. And I can see that. Are these just unbranded Streamlights? Are they Streamlights that were blemished or something? I could see somebody thinking that. The sponsorship, approval, or certification of goods. And Streamlight saying they've suffered substantial injury. And then they're suing under state law for common law trademark infringement and unfair competition. So they're just going for the common law actions that are there. The interesting one they're suing under is the anti-dilution statute. And this is something that we haven't really seen before in any of the patent or infringement cases that are out there. So what does this provide? Well, the likelihood of injury to business reputation or dilution of the distinctive quality of a mark or registered under this chapter, or a mark valid at common law. So Matt kind of suffered this, the goodwill of his name. And this is the dilution of the quality. Because yeah, if these start shitting the bed and they're unbranded, people are going to say, well, these are garbage too, probably. And it says that shall be a ground for adjunctive relief, notwithstanding the absence of competition between the parties or the absence of confusion as to the source of the goods or services. And it says that even if there's no competition, we could still enjoin you. And they point out, we've continuously promoted and used the ring mark well before Harbor Freight began using the ring design. They say that this will dilute and likely dilute the distinctiveness. And it will lessen the capacity of the mark to identify and distinguish Streamlight's goods. So that is why they're going the Delaware anti-dilution statute. So what do they want? Well, they want judgments favor of the violations of the patents, the violations of the ring mark, unfair competition, unfair and deceptive trade practices, the trademark infringement, and the dilution. So what do they want? Well, they want the damages to Streamlight be trebled, meaning tripled, with pre-judgment and post-judgment interest. And yes, if you patent infringe, you can get bad. Also for trademark infringement, you can get hurt really bad, especially when it's willful and blatant like this. So they're just asking for all of this. They also want an injunction from selling the light, selling, advertising, marketing, promoting, distributing, or selling the light for sale or importation of any other products. They want it complete, using any trademark name, logo, or design. They want that prohibited. They want a full injunction on this. They want a full injunction, and they also want a jury trial demand. So, is anything good on Prime? Yeah. Streamlight is made in China. I believe they can't get an NSN cage code because they are not Berry compliant. Well, some Streamlight, like, they're assembled in America. Maybe, I guess, they're not made, or their components are. So, maybe that's what they're talking about. So, I don't know. I thought some Streamlights were made in America, but like I said, I'm pretty sure these came from the same factories. It's very weird that the Chinese guys figured out how to do this, huh? It's like, how did they know? It's because they had all the tools. They had all the tools and equipment. So, Matt Rack compared this to Louboutin's Red Soles. Well, yes, the ring. That is like Louboutin. But this stuff here internally. So, for example, this little thing right here, and I don't know if I could show it well enough here. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. This little, with the pointer, this little bit right here, that's that key for a Glock right there. And then these rails and how the rails work and they adapt, that's patent. So it's not just the Louboutin. Like, they're going into it for more than that. Like, it's literally a 100% fucking copy of this. I've watched the videos of people have it. It's literally a fucking 1-for-1 copy. The Chinese were just smart enough not to strap TLR1 on the side. So, you guys are now buying cell phone jammers. You can buy them on Amazon. So, yes, it's also Prime right now. So, 8th through 11th, Prime days. Enjoy it, chat. So, that is what happened with Harbor Freight and Streamlight. And I thought it was very, very interesting. And you guys, here is the actual patent they have. And when you look at the patents here, this is for the patents, but this is not the trademark. This is the light itself. So here is what they're doing. It's a mounting arrangement for a light and other objects with a clamping arrangement. And this is how they do it. These are the drawings you have to submit. This is all the stuff you have to put together. And you see here, Surefire. We're going to get to Surefire in a second. Here's the light, and they talk about more. Here is the key. That's the key we're talking about. That helps you fit into your gun. It's all part of the light system here. And it's a further just showing of how this is all set up. It's just a further, just so you guys can see, yeah. And notice the ring is not listed in the patent as a part. But notice the ring's right there. The ring is right there, and it's not listed. It's not listed because it's not a functional part. The ring was once again designated on the item. It's there, but it's not functional, so it's not listed. And this is just how it's all set up. And it's pretty cool. It is pretty neat. It's pretty neat how these operate. It's how they're set up. And it just shows, all the internals of these. All the internals. And these patents are very technical. They are very technical. That is an entirely specialized field. But yes, Jefferson, yeah, there's a Louboutin, but there's also just straight up, this is a straight up fucking copy. So yes, neat diagram projections, yeah. Aren't cell jammers illegal? I mean, if you get caught with one, yeah, but they are a thing out there. So just be careful. I'm not telling you to buy one. Just be careful if you buy one. But yes, they are becoming a very common tool for home invasions. Very common in South Africa nowadays. Commonplace. So, which means you can buy jammer sniffers. And you can buy a sniffer that'll determine if there's jamming going on, because it'll warn you that there's things getting blown out. Mr. Lulzbot says that patent is derivative of the 1913 Picatinny rail, thus should be voided for prior art. It could be, and that's the thing here, chat. When it comes to patent law, just because you have a patent doesn't mean you're going to win. There are many ways to say, look, somebody else already had a patent. It's called prior art is another defense. So you may get into court and a federal judge is going to look at this and say, actually, you guys don't have a patent. This is bullshit. You shouldn't have been awarded it. It's really not novel. There's prior art. There's a million different ways. The judge could say, yeah, or he could say, yeah, this is just different. But your patent can be taken away from you in litigation. So that is a big risk Streamlight's running. Like, the court can say, like, yeah, you're doing nothing novel. I don't think that's going to happen. But it's just something to think about. Intellectual property law, IP law, is a cold bitch at times. It is very tough how those things work. So you could spend all your money, all your efforts, secure a patent, and then later on you get to court in a lawsuit and they say, lol. And yes, Harbor Freight actually has a history of winning. They beat Snap-on. Yes, Snap-on, the tool giant. They They beat them. They beat them over Daytona Jacks. And you know what happened? It's these Daytona floor jacks are here's where Harbor Freight went to war over Snap-on, and they yeah. This thing right here, Great Loner, is a good example. Yep. These low profile jacks that are very, you know, rapid pump and they just go right up. They're worth $289. They are fucking cool. I bought the $80 floor jack because I didn't really fucking need to, like, I'll sit there just chink, chink, chink. Yes, Snap-on deserves it. Yes. Okay. Yes, that's the thing. Nobody likes Snap-on because they're assholes and they're very expensive. But Snap-on is the de facto standard for tools that you can get out there. Although at this point, Snap-on's really kind of gone down in quality. But like, you know, Matco, you know, Mac tools, all that stuff. Yes, compared to Snap-on, yes. And that's what they're doing. And that's a great point, Jefferson. Compare to Snap-on FJ300. And we'll grab this and we'll just, yeah. And look at the price. $1,000. $1,000 for this son of a bitch. So notice that, you know, when you type in the Snap-on FJ300, look at the sponsored links. Bam, Harbor Freight, Harbor Freight, Harbor Freight. It's like Suffa Snap-on. Suffa Snap-on. And look what they did. The 3-ton floor jack, red. $1,000. So, yeah. It's meant so you can pop it up very quickly and get it going. And you're like, wow, that looks, Yeah, their pneumatic stuff is still all right. Yeah, but it's... yeah, but I mean, like, yeah. Snap-on is all made in China now. Yes. The 1080 is for the red. Yes, you're paying for the name. That's why you get blue light instead. Brooke says, who gets Snap-on? Oh, there are brand loyal mechanics and guys out there. When the Snap-on truck rolls up to their shop, their fucking wallets catch on fire. So, yeah, Snap-on, its warranties are bad too. Yes. So, their chainsaws, Harbor Freight's chainsaws blow. Well, yeah, I wouldn't buy a chainsaw for fucking Harbor Freight. If you're gonna buy a chainsaw, you buy a Husqvarna or you buy a Steel, like or a Poulan. Like, you're gonna have to buy chainsaws are kind of quality. You're gonna need quality for chainsaws. I use Harbor Freight for my brake job. I didn't use all Harbor Freight. Like, I went and got my brakes at O'Reilly's, but yes. Ron is saying every tool I have in the toolbox is Snap-on. The only way I could afford tools as a young enlisted Marine. Well, forwarding good tools, but back in the day, Harbor Freight and all that shit was garbage. And yes, Snap-on was very good. Yes, the Snap-on trucks hold a lot of people's debts. Yes, they do. A friend of mine, he sells Matco tools, and he repossesses boxes all the time. And you guys might be saying, what? Yes. You buy like the tools, but you also buy a toolbox, especially if you're a mechanic and you're paying off your toolbox. You have a tool bill. And if you don't pay your bill, the guy shows up at your shop with the truck, and his truck has the drop ramp that he comes and fucking repossesses your box. And if you own the tools and you haven't paid, he takes those too. He'll repossess all your shit and load it up and roll off with it. And then they flip it and sell it. That's a real thing. That's a real fucking... The tool game is rough. Yeah, 50,000 on a box is nothing for Snap-on. Yep. So, yeah, the wallets are calling the police to report a rape. Yeah. Green Cat saying Steel only. No Husqvarna. Husqvarnas are good, man. If you get, like, there are good ones out there. I don't know about right this second, but yeah, for the longest time, they're fine. So the trick is to buy the flips. Yeah, you can save a lot of money buying used shit like that. They try not to sell those because they don't make the money on those. They make the money hosing you down with brand new stuff. But yes, if you want to buy a used box, you can. A repoed box, that does happen. So they're not as well balanced as steel. Well, I mean, I've used both, but I never was able to tell you the difference. So anyways, that is kind of where we get to when we're talking about the issues that are out there. So it all depends. Like, these patent things they're not guaranteed. You'd like to think they are, but no, they're not. And remember, guys, patents and trademarks and copyrights are protected in the Constitution. That is something that was initially included in Article 1. So it goes all the way back. It goes all the way back. Now, from here, we have another case involving intellectual property, and this involves silencers. And specifically with silencers, we've got Surefire, which is one of the leading silencer companies out there. Surefire also sells lights, weapon-mounted lights. They're very famous for their flashlights. That is, like, they've got both. They do both. And we also are dealing with suppressors. And remember, guys, suppressors are pew, 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 pew. Yes. Silencers, whatever you wish to call them. That is what they are. That is what they do. And if you guys, when you see a suppressor, when you see Surefire, this is what Surefire sells. Surefire sells suppressors. And they sell all kinds. And Surefires are very good for their quality. They are very well built. And notice, guys, when you're looking at these, focus on these pieces on the back, because that's the mounting system. Obviously, the little hole in the front is where the bullet comes out. But notice, mounting system, mounting system, mounting system. It's the same mounting system, right? Well, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Okay. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, there's another company out there, Brugger and Tomet, and they are from Switzerland. I wish I could show you the guns, but they sell the TP9, formerly known as the Steyr TMP. They sell the Grasshopper mouse, I think it's the APC9 Grasshopper mouse. They sell a lot of things. They're a Swiss firearms manufacturer. They are very on the high end of things. And B&T sells stuff as well. And guess what B&T sells? They sell suppressors. And guess what this suppressor has? Huh. This kind of looks like something, doesn't it? I mean, the knob is a little different, but wow. And what do these mount onto? Well, if you guys aren't familiar with it, this is actually a great example of how this works. And this is something I'm going to show you guys. So you guys, if you're not familiar with guns, this is one of the ways for Surefires they mount. Kayla says, looks like a vape. Well, vapors come out of it. Hunch says suppressors, fucker. Hey, the NFA, they're called silencers. So Safa. Keopath says, what mount? It's a threaded barrel. Well, not really. And that's the thing. A lot of people think like suppressors are threaded onto a barrel. They're not anymore. That's the old school way of doing it. The modern way of doing it is now you use a mounting point use a muzzle adapter. And this allows, like, you see these little pieces right here? Those are the threads you're using. And those threads, as it looks like it goes on, it slides on. You twist the ring. You slide it on all the way back, and you twist it, and it locks. And sometimes you really got to really wrench down on them, especially if your shit's dirty. But that is how these modern suppressors now attach. And obviously this one's a Surefire because it said Surefire on it. Well, there are other mounting systems out there. And for example, on the business end of an AR-15 or M16 rifle, this is what's known as the A2 flash hider. It's also known as the A2 flash hider. That's because it's the standard thing here. And this slides on, and this is another quick detach. And you see that this fits over it, and then it clamps down. And this part right here, you push it down, and it all locks into place. And you could push it on and pull it off. And that is a very beneficial thing because you don't have to, if you're in the military, you don't have to send your gun in to get this removed. The muzzle device doesn't have to get removed. Your flash hider doesn't need to be removed. You literally just take it, shove it on your gun, click, lock it in, and now you can use the suppressor on it. So, No Mayo says that weld looks weak. Well, the welds on these Surefire and B&T sell very good cans. Don't worry about it. And also, guys, if you're not familiar, chat, they're also known as cans in the community because it's a can. It's literally a can with holes in it. Yes, Keopathic is also called a bird cage. Yes. But that's how this fits on. There's quick detach. Okay, so what happens with all this stuff? Well, we can go back through time and we could find something very interesting. And it's something I think we should... Hold on here. Where am I? Let me... So this is something here where these companies, they had partnerships. And ultimately, because B&T is from Switzerland, if they have a patent, well, it's a bit different of a patent than other places may have. Because a Swiss patent is not necessarily enforceable in the United States. So what do we have here? And this is where we get to some information you guys need to know. This is an exhibit, but we're going to use it right now. So this is a patent from 2010. And it's Duke et al. And it's Barry Duke. He is the guy who runs Surefire. Okay. And Surefire is run out of California. So that's why you see these guys out of California. And these are the inventors. They're assigning it to Surefire LLC. So what is it? What is it? Well, it is their apparatus and methods for attaching easily, quickly, reliably, longitudinally. And it's important longitudinally because when you put a... And we'll use this picture here, chat. Suppressors can be very dangerous because your muzzle is right here. Okay? Here's the problem. If the bullet goes... It goes out this way. Okay. If this suppressor is crooked at all, and when it attaches, guess what happens? This hole is a little up this way, or it's a little off that way. And the bullet goes along and it'll blow out the edge of the can. Because if they're not lined up right, it'll hit the edge on the inside. That's called a baffle strike. And you destroy the suppressor. Sometimes it shears all this off and it breaks and it shoots off like a grenade. It's funny because I've seen it happen before. Like it just... And it's ruined. So longitudinally securing it is very important. You have to have what's called concentricity. These have to line up perfectly. And it's a very important thing. If you don't do right, you have a problem. So, yes, baffle strikes are very bad. Yes, not properly indexed things also go flying, yes. And Newport Beach is in Red Orange County, yes. But that is where these guys are. So, what did they do? Well, these guys are securing a patent for something. You're like, okay, well, what are they doing here? So they want to, for the muzzle end of a firearm and to a fixture such as a flash suppressor affixed to the muzzle end of the firearm, and for quickly and reliably removing the noise suppressor or other device from it. So notice they have a similar setup here, and it cranks down on stuff. Now, what's the important part of this? Well, they filed this. They filed their patents. Okay. Notice what they have down here as you look other publications. Brugger and Tomet, AG, out of Switzerland. Unpublished drawing numbers. Drawn May 7th, 2002. Huh. Wow. Well, that's a little bit of an interesting thing, huh? That ag is not you. Yes, that's correct. That ag is not you. So what happened? Well, B&T came up with this initial attachment options. Okay. They came up with this back in the day. It's called the Rotex system. They developed it in 2001 and they filed a patent in 2002. What happened at some point is, yes, James Reeves can eat my heart out. Yes. I went all the way back for the patent docs. Yes. As James Reeves from the firearm blog, TFB TV, interviewed the head of B&T, the head of B&T said, look, we developed it. And while we were sitting there at a gun show, at a demo show, guys from Surefire came up and went, click, click, click. You know how to do that. And guess what? Surefire did a couple years later. They're like, bam, about 2005 or so. I remember when these came out. Look, we have quick detached suppressors now. Surefire got in on the global war on terror and made a lot of money. Before that, they were solely a light company, but then they got into the suppressor game. And B&T is like, don't know if I like this. But they had reached an accord that they promised not to sue each other. They promised that we are not going to take each other to court. We're just going to sell our shit. And you're going to sell your shit. And we're going to be a big, happy family. And they had an agreement. Well, things kind of went a little, sideways. Chat. So what happened here? Well, they kind of went to it. Here. So B&T USA LLC, because remember, these gun companies have to have USA arms, an arm of it operating in the United States. That way they can import, they can build here, and you can get around import laws by building here. So like my Beretta 92. Beretta is an Italian company, but they have a facility in Maryland. I think they moved down to Georgia with it now, but they now build them in America, so they get around importation laws. Glock is famous for its factory in Smyrna, Georgia. That's how you can get around importation laws. Well, I'm just going to build the gun here. Well, and then the ATF has to do nothing but cope and seethe. So they're suing Surefire LLC. And this is another issue of a patent invalidity in non-infringement. So this is a different thing you can do with the patent. If somebody else has a patent and you want to challenge it, you can demand the court invalidate their patent. So you don't have to wait for them to sue you. You can go ahead to court and sue them and say, Judge, they don't deserve the patent, and we want you to preemptively declare it invalid. Remember, we talked about the Shield Arms and the PSA lawsuit over the Shield Arms magazines. And it was Shield Arms. I think it was PSA. It was a Shield Arms and somebody with the M&P Shield magazines. You can preemptively strike and get a patent knocked out. And it's a little more complicated than that, but in layman's terms, guys, that's what you can do here. Real quick, Ford's been a member for 17 months. Thank you. Saying happy birthday. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Jefferson Post says most things are made in the same factory as Harbor Freights. Yes. You do say the light band is like the content nuke IP trap. Kind of. It kind of is. Kind of is. Debbie says, Delaware, though, are there chances the court invalidates the patent because it's gun related? No, because it's a federal court and they can't just say, I don't like guns. I think their patent's pretty solid. I don't see why they would lose on it, but they could. I mean, there would be some sort of valid support for it because that would be an abuse of discretion for the judge to do that. And that would be appealed immediately. So if they say prior art or something like that, or one of the other common ways to invalidate a patent, I could see that happening. But no, you're not going to get a judge just go, remember, they're federal judges, so they're not going to go like, ew, guys, yeah. We'd like to think. At least. Blue Varro has been a member for 5 months. Thank you for the support. And Walter Malone says, suing for what? A deal? A succulent deal? These $50 weapon lights? Stephen Cooper says the TLR9 plus the ProTac HL5 equals amazing. That's a pretty good... Yeah, that would be a good combo, I think. Never seen it operate, but yeah, I'd take your word for that. Take your word for that. Jefferson's Post says, I think the non-functional part is because, as I recall, Lego failed at trademarking the functional bumps on the blocks once the patent expired. Yeah. Yeah, Lego really kind of fucked things up, and that's why there's a lot of knockoff Legos now. That's why you see all these different things that are out there, like, for example, the tank that's up there on top. That's one of those, basically knockoff Legos that are out there. Then Hunch Dirty Roofer says, say what you want about Harbor Freight quality. If you set up an account with them, it saves all your receipts, and they give a lifetime warranty. Yes. Always set up your account with Harbor Freight and take advantage of that, because, yeah, it's never... Yeah, they don't fuck you around at Harbor Freight. They do not fuck you around there. So, Hunch is also saying, Surefire or Keymod sucks. It does. And Surefire is getting desperate. Well, yeah, that too. Would the Surefire patent getting declared invalid be a big boon to the industry? Ooh, buddy. Yes, it would. Yes, it fucking would. And you guys are saying it was PSA with the Glock 43 mags. Okay. Well, no, they weren't Glock 43. They were Shield magazines, I thought. They were Shield magazines because they were getting extra capacity in the Shield magazines. Because remember, the Shield magazines have the steel shell on them. So, anyways, they want a declaratory judgment. And here's what they want. And it's all about defendant trying to force B&T to cease manufacturing, marketing, selling, and interfering with B&T's sales and relationships for a device the defendant alleges infringes its patents. And they talk about the firearm suppressor mounting system, which we just looked at. And the campaign against B&T began on February 27th when Surefire sent a letter accusing B&T of potentially infringing on the patent without identifying the patent without identifying the patent. And they said by making, using, or selling an adapter compatible with Surefire's patented SOCOM fast-attached line of suppressor mounting devices. And that's true. The SOCOM line is something Surefire sells. And B&T had done that. Their suppressors, and this isn't something that always happens. A lot of suppressor manufacturers, they have proprietary mounts. B&Ts would run on Surefire mounts. That's a big deal. Because now you can buy a suppressor, like more people are going to buy it because now I can mount it to more and more guns. And we do have that letter, and we'll take a look at that. They also say that, Surefire ramped up its campaign when it caused a second letter to be sent and directly accused B&T of infringing on the patent by manufacturing muzzle devices that incorporate Surefire's patented suppressor mounting system. Remember, they cite B&T way back in the day. And they say, as explained in greater detail, the patent is invalid because the accused system was offered for sale in the United States more than 1 year before the application. that resulted in when the patent was filed. And that's part of an issue. When you have a patent, you can't sell something forever and then all of a sudden, oh, I want to patent it. You lose that right. But you see people with like patent pending, that's fine. But you can't sell it for 5 years and then say, oh, now I want to patent it. It's too late. There are many ways you can't. There are a lot of ways this works. So there are many ways you can invalidate a patent, and that's just one of them, saying you've already had it out there. It's already been available for sale. So they are seeking a declaratory judgment that the patent is invalid and the plaintiffs do not infringe on any valid enforceable claim. And they further seek relief for the breach of contract. And the contract is what we're going to get to, where they agreed not to do all this shit to each other. And so they talk about the parties. B&T is a privately owned LLC under the laws of Switzerland, with its place of business located at Tempelstrasse 6 in Thun, Switzerland. B&T is a Swiss defense company. You know, they do all kinds of stuff. B&T is an LLC organized under the laws of Florida. They say B&T is a U.S.-based firearms company. And they say upon information and belief, Surefire is an LLC under the laws of California. They say Surefire is also a U.S.-based firearm suppressor and accessories manufacturer. Now, they point out the court has original and exclusive subject matter jurisdiction because these complaints state claims under the acts of Congress, including the Patent Act. And they say the court has original and exclusive subject matter jurisdiction because the complaint arises under the Federal Declaratory Judgment Act, and that involves an actual case or controversy. They say the court has jurisdiction over plaintiff's claims under the laws of Florida because of the supplemental jurisdiction in accordance with 28 U.S.C. 1367. So just like with the Streamlight case, you have the ancillary supplemental jurisdiction. All the state law crap has to come along with us because it's all related and we're suing all under it. Joe says Thun, it's Thun. Okay, Thun, Switzerland. And they're related to the federal. And remember, they're related to the federal claims, and they're part of the same case or controversy. They say the court also has subject matter jurisdiction because the action concerns citizens from different states, and the amount of controversy exceeds the summer value of $75,000. Now, they include diversity jurisdiction here, but they don't need it. But they just throw it in for good measure because, hey, it actually matters. Like, they have diversity jurisdiction. They are entities, and remember, corporations are people, so they are citizens of different states. So therefore, you have diversity jurisdiction, and the amount of controversy is greater than $75,000. Now, they say that the court has in personam jurisdiction over B&T because it's an LLC and it conducts business in this state, in this district and division. B&T is in the U.S. operation by license from B&T in Switzerland. The court has personal jurisdiction over defendant Surefire because the defendant's conducting business in the state and this district and purposely directed his activities toward Florida by knowingly and repeatedly directing cease and desist letters into this district. And they point out that that's they should be reasonably expected to be subject to personal jurisdiction because they were availing themselves of the laws to cease and desist your copyright and your patent infringement. They say upon information and belief that the defendants intentionally committed the acts complained of, knowing the harm would be suffered. They say venues proper because a substantial part of the events here occurred in the Middle District of Florida. So there we go. We got that down. Now they talk about the patent, and we've already gone through it. And the patent was filed. They talk about the applications for the patents. Okay. And they were filed in June of 2005. And in June of 2005, it was a continuation and part application, which had already been filed in November 2003. So what does all this mean here? Well, the patent, they go through all of this. They talk about the patents being done. And they say after the filing the application, the applicants filed a preliminary amendment enclosing replacement drawing sheets. And you can amend your patents. You can do things to show, look, we've changed stuff around. You could file what's also known as an information disclosure statement, and it says that they state as follows: the accompanying unpublished drawings from Brugger and Tomet from May 7th, which is privately communicated to the applicants by B&T in November 2005, show a noise suppressor having an eccentric collar and ring arrangement for attaching the noise suppressor to a firearm's muzzle brake. B&T gave that to them. They sent it there. They say it is the applicant's present understanding that these suppressors employing this design were shown in the unpublished drawing were marketed in Europe by B&T since 2002 under the designation Rotex. Yeah, you guys don't have to be a patent attorney. Go, wow, well, that's not good. That's not good. Uh-oh. And yes, I do think Kurt would be helpful here. I didn't have a chance to reach out to him today. But they point out they further provide B&T's unpublished drawing May 7th, 2002. In chat, we saw that. The B&T drawing of May 7th, 2002. And it's like, yeah, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. And this is the original one here, chat. If you haven't seen this, I forgot we had this one sitting here. This is the original. And the original, again, goes through all of this. They talk about, look how it mounts, all the mounting parts, all the mounting things. They go through all this, and they say, well, notice they didn't include the B&T stuff. But if you guys don't know what this means, when you cite references to documents, they're citing different things here. So you see Maxim as a thing they're citing. Yes, that's Hiram Maxim, the Maxim gun guy. You see Garand. These are all different firearms patents that are out there that you can, because notice this patent here, 1913. These are all patents relating to firearms and firearm parts. And that's what they do with them. So that is a thing, just so you guys understand what you're looking at, how these things are set up and what you do with them. So that is where you go from here. That is where you go. So they point out, though, the statement regarding the design being marketed in Europe does not appear on the face of the patent in Exhibit 1. And that's true. Because we go back to this patent here, it just says B&T drawing from May 2002. And here, once again, we see all these patent documents from older patents from other gun people. But notice, B&T. It's just listed here, and nothing changes. Nothing changes. Patent, he's nuts. Peyton saying that's old Surefire FA series can around 2005. Yeah. It is. So they get back to 2008. And we're going back to 2008 now. The patent examiner entered a restriction requirement identifying the 3 invention groups. And you can identify groups here. And this is where you talk about the inventions and how these things are done. Do I have Exhibit 4? Hold on here. I'm going to go back and grab it. I can't get it to pull up, chat. We'll have to keep moving here. So they said they amended their applications to include a substitute specification, and they amended their claims. So in 2009, they got a rejection to handle this, but they were allowed to refile. So in 2009, they asked for a continued examination. They added new stuff. So what happens? Well, if you fuck up your patents, you can get the chance for it to keep going. And they did. They got a notice of allowance. They paid the fees, and they kept going. And they filed a new request for, correcting the errors. And the Patent Office issued their certificate of correction. And they point out that B&T sold the system 3 years before the application was filed in 2005. And they say in May 1991, B&T was established by Carl Brugger and Heinrich Thomet to design and produce some of the industry's most advanced firearm suppressors. And in Switzerland, it is a big deal. In most of Europe, using suppressed weapons is considered good company. You're actually considered uncouth if you shoot unsuppressed. It's a very common thing to go buy a suppressor for your gun from the store with no papers or weight. So eventually, though, Carl Brugger is now the sole owner of what is now B&T. They've grown a ton. And they say in 2001, they developed the experimental quick detach suppressor mount intended for use with NATO flash hiders, meaning the M16 type flash hider known as the bird cage, allowing suppressors to be mounted without the use of tools, which is a big deal. The core mechanism utilized a rotational locking method, which led to the system being called Rotex, derived from rotation and fixation. B&T manufactured in May 2002 the first prototypes in 223 Remington, also meaning 556 NATO. These samples were tested internally and incrementally improved. In 2002, the first 15 units were exported to DS Arms in the United States. The engineering drawings of the suppressors shipped to the U.S. are attached as Exhibit 7. And because when you ship things, you have to follow certain things here. This is the internals. If you guys want to see what these internals are, this is the internal baffle stack. And these are what these things are called, baffles. The internals of the suppressor. So here is a baffle. Here is a baffle. Like these are baffles, these little compartments. And if you guys notice, why is this? Hold on here. If you notice, look how the line goes straight through. And what happens is the gases go into these areas and they expand and it burns. And when it burns, it's containing the explosion of the gunfire and the round being ignited. So that's why it suppresses. It's suppressing. It's muffling. It's just like the muffler on a car. And when it sits in here, it burns up and that prevents the sound from getting out. It reduces the sound. So, and the bullet zips on through. And this is a bunch of, this is German. Schalldampfer is German for suppressor. I do know that because I've watched a couple of channels talking about it. But yes, here is the gun and here's the suppressor in its technical drawing. 3D printer guys, please take note. Yes, it's baffling. Thank you, Robin. All right. So moving on from here. This export documentation is attached as Exhibit 8. And a version with the English translation is attached as Exhibit 9. So these are Swiss export documents. August 2002, we're already exporting these for sale. From July of 2003, we're doing it. We're doing it live. Where are they saying it's the DS Arms? If you guys want to foul, they do a great thing there. It's test material for the Naval Warfare Center. These were sent because the SEALs were requesting it. So they had to be imported. And a company helped bring them in for the SEALs. The suppressors were exported to the United States to be used with AR-15s and M16s. And later in 2002, they were at the GPEC Trade Fair in Münster, Germany. And they say at this event, BT displayed the Rotex with it. While they were there, a marketing employee of Surefire, Cameron Hopkins, took pictures of the mounting interface. The European sales director also witnessed and acknowledged the suppressor mount. They say at least as early as 2005, B&T learned of the application filed that appeared to cover a similar mounting mechanism. By that point, B&T was manufacturing a suppressor for the HK-MP7 based. When B&T learned of it, it contacted the owner of Surefire to remind Surefire that we had already been in the market, including for sale in the U.S. for years, and that Surefire had been aware of the system since 2002. B&T provided the engineering drawings and export documentation to Surefire. Now you might say, well, wait, why would you give them your blueprints? To show, look, you copied us. We've already got this and we've already been here. But they are doing that in a way so Surefire understands. Like, we know. We know. So what happened from here? So Surefire provided the engineering drawings to the trademark office and patent office in 2006, indicating they were unpublished. Remember, going back to this patent chat, unpublished for B&T. Unpublished drawings. Unpublished drawing. Remember, guys, you don't have to have a patent. Like, you can look at this and say, wow, this is really fucking awful what Surefire's doing. And while Surefire indicated the Rotex 2 was marketed in Europe by B&T since 2002, Surefire failed to mention its possession of the export documentation, proving the system was sold in the U.S., including the U.S. Navy in 2002, and that's to the SEALs for testing. The glaring omissions were misleading because they would not have gotten a patent. Because if the patent examiner, which Kurt was a patent examiner, if they would have known all of this, they would have had to reject the patent claims. They would have had to reject them. Like, there are limits. There are limits. And why are the limits here? Well, here are the limits. Here are things. Is it a novelty? You know, you shall be entitled to a patent unless the claimed invention was patented, described in a printed publication, or in public use, on sale, or otherwise available to the public before the effective date of the claimed invention. Well, that looks like that pretty much handles that, doesn't it? I mean, it's not over yet, but that's really bad. That's one of the things you can do. The claimed invention was described in a patent issued under the other parts of the Patent Act, or in the application published, in which the patent or application, as the case may be, names another inventor and was filed before the effective date of the claimed invention. Now, there are exceptions, and this is where we talk about the 1 year thing. Your disclosures were made 1 year or less before the effective filing date of the claimed invention. That's why you could sell stuff and you see patent pending on it. But this is a big issue. This is a big issue here. They're arguing, look, it's already been for sale. You're done. You are done. So B&T informed Surefire that if Surefire ever sought to enforce its patents against B&T or its customers, B&T would challenge the patent. And then Surefire said, here's our contract. They agreed it would never pursue any legal action against B&T or its customers for any claims under the patent applications. So while Surefire would have the patent, they're saying, look, we promise, Scout's honor, we won't sue you. We won't come after you. Now, here's what happened. B&T started working on the Knox SF muzzle device for Sons of Liberty Gunworks, which these guys are pretty based. I think they're up in Washington right now. They are very based. They do a lot of good stuff. They sell some good guns. They sell good guns. Did someone try to re-tag me? Oh, someone did. Hold on here. Oh my God. Ooh. Hold on, chat. This is actually very important. We got to, well, there's another person who has suffered the loss of things from the Karen Reed trial. So, well, Shannon Burgess is no longer at Shannon Burgess is no longer at Aperture LLC. Uh-oh. Breaking news, chat. Karen Reed has claimed another one. No documents were found for Shannon Burgess. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, chat. So, F's in the chat for Shannon, if you feel like it. Or you can tell him to suffer. 12 years of pursuit degree was long enough. 12? He took 18. Nick says, Sons of Liberty is not in Washington. I thought they were. I thought they're in Washington. So. And they say early in 2025, B&T learned via verbal communications that Sons of Liberty have been threatened by Surefire. And then on January 16th, B&T informed Surefire that the device was manufactured by B&T and thus was protected by our agreement. So B&T goes up to Surefire and goes, hey, bros, look, it's ours. Remember, we got an agreement. You guys have to go fuck off. And reminding you, our shit outdates yours. Don't make us fuck with you. So on January 17th, Surefire still sent out a fucking letter resulting in Sons of Liberty Gunworks removing the B&T products from sale. They told B&T it needed to cancel orders that had not been fulfilled because of threats of getting sued. And then in February, Surefire sent a letter to B&T accusing them of infringing on the patent without identifying the patent, but saying that it was, well, you're infringing our patent. And they did. They sent a shitty letter to B&T. They sent a shitty letter here. So they say, as you're aware, as we discussed at SHOT Show, and remember, SHOT Show is where all the deals and things happen in the firearms industry. SHOT Show is where all the crazy stuff happens. So as we discussed at SHOT Show, so they had a meeting. They sat down. They say, we've been notified that you are now using your something compatible with the SOCOM fast attach line of suppressor mounts, and that you're making it available for third parties. And they're now trying to bring up that you are using something that violates our patent in violation of 35 USC 100. And they say, after consideration, we are not comfortable with B&T manufacturing or selling the adapters that we previously discussed. They're revoking their deal. They're breaching the contract. Remember, it's an oral contract here, but it's still a contract nonetheless. So they say, accordingly, they want you to cease and desist. And you are to limit its use of Surefire and its marketing materials only to the minimum amount necessary to identify Surefire's products. They say, we appreciate your cooperation from Surefire. Well, B&T was kind of like, fuck you. And then on March 20th, they sent another letter. And they say, we're writing in response to the emails regarding Surefire's serious concerns. Notice it's serious concerns. Why? I mean, can you have non-serious concerns? I always think that's funny when they do this. We have serious concerns. Are there non-serious concerns ever? And they say, as well as the false advertising and the false association with Surefire that doesn't exist. And notice now they're saying this applies to both B&T in Europe and USA. Because Surefire sells to foreign militaries and police departments. This is where it gets interesting. They say this is 3 problems. Patent infringement, but you don't have a patent, really. False advertising and false association. Well, product safety and liability risk. Well, they're worried about potential liability concerns. When they say patent infringement, notice nothing in here, guys. You read these paragraphs, they don't talk about, they only mention things here. They say, Surefire in 2023, B&T and Surefire issued a joint release announcing an arrangement granting B&T the exclusive right to manufacture suppressors that mount to Surefire's SOCOM fast attached muzzle devices. And this is the thing, it really did happen. This really happened. There are press releases for it, and it's interesting because this is what they do. It says Surefire in May 29, 2023, B&T and Surefire partner on suppressors from guns.com. So that is what they do. That is why they're doing this. As this goes, though, they say, however, this was never a formal legally binding agreement. It was a public statement, not a license or a contract. Well, I think you can rely on that public statement. It says, further, Surefire never authorized B&T to manufacture devices that are designed to interface with Surefire suppressors or muzzle devices. B&T never consulted Surefire before expanding its product line. An expansion Surefire would have opposed. Well, Now they go through this thing here, the Knox muzzle system device, the NOx device. But notice you don't see this agreement they made way back in the day. B&T is relying on this press release. And Surefire is saying it wasn't legally binding. It didn't grant you the right to produce muzzle devices. But how does that work? How does that work? You're saying we have the right to manufacture suppressors that mount to the devices. Okay, well, all right. But we can make suppressors that mount to them. And it didn't authorize B&T to expand its product line without knowledge or approval. But we have a 20-year-old agreement. Remember, chat, there's an agreement from 2005 where they all worked this out. And there's no listing of it. There's no listing of it. So Surefire is just telling them to get fucked. So as we go here, they want to declare it invalid. So they restate everything that's happened previously. And they point out that the obvious type of double patenting, because they both have patents. Here's the issue. And this idea of double patenting is grounded in the text of the Patent Act. And it says, whoever discovers any new and useful process, machine, manufacture, or composition of matter may obtain a patent therefore. Thus, it forbids an individual from obtaining more than one patent on the same invention, double patenting. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to double up. It doesn't make any sense anyway. And it says, where there's two patents that claim the same invention and have different expiration dates, this is a situation. How do you do it? A later claim that is not distinct is obvious error or anticipated by an earlier claim is invalid for obvious double type patenting. Two guys can't hold the patent. One of them has to be the inventor. And they talk about during the prosecution of their patent, they didn't file a disclaimer and the patent expired on November 6, 2023. And they say further, the earlier patent has expired. A terminal disclaimer cannot cure double patenting. Now, and this is where I wish, Kirk, because Kirk could rattle this all off for you. This terminal disclaimer is if you want patents, they can't overlap. Like one has to stop, one stops, one starts, but they can't overlap. So the terminal disclaimer is how if this one's running already, you stop it and kill it, and then the new one takes over. And can you guys see me? Does that make sense? So your patents can't overlap. So what you do is you take this one and you kill it right here. This one takes over forward. So that is what we're doing here. And that they're bringing up that these are not patentably distinct from the claims in their other patents. And the patents are linked by a common priority chain. And notice that when you talk to these two patents that Surefire has, you're like, well, wait, which one's which? Because we go to here, we have the 976 patent. And it's 976 in 2010. You're like, okay, well, what about it? And then you have the 415 patent. Hold on. We have the 415 patent right here from 2005. The patents overlap. Like, they literally talk about the same fucking thing. These patents overlap. So you can't hold two patents at the same time. And Surefire is making great claims here. And they use overlapping language. And the inventor did not choose to be the patent is a way to distinguish terms in one patent from the next. And the patent terms have the same meaning. You know, they are both the same or as obvious variants. And they point out that the patent claims are damn near identical. Like, look at these. Like, you can read word for word. Auxiliary apparatus for attachment of firearm, including a barrel. Notice they add a little bit here. But it's added a little more. It's fleshed out more, but it's very much the same thing. It's very much the same thing. And they say it's just Surefire owns both of them. They share common inventors. And they're not distinct from the other claims. So one or more of claims on the new patent are invalid. So they demand judgment. They demand judgment for double patenting, including obvious type double patenting. So they're already seeking that. They're seeking another option here. They're also seeking it to be declared invalid because it was offered for sale in the U.S. more than 1 year before the earliest filing date. And remember, in light of the cease and desist, there's a real threat and immediate controversy. And why do they do this? Well, remember, they already been selling it. It already been sold for more than a year. You can't patent that then. So they wanted another declaration of non-infringement of the patents. So why do they want to do that? Because B&T offered the systems for sale more than 1 year before the application was filed. And once again, you run into the issue of double patenting. B&T and Surefire both can't have patents. More importantly, Surefire can't have two patents on the same thing. So B&T is asking for all this. It's actually, it's very interesting how this is all working here, guys. I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, it's patent law, this is gay. And it's actually pretty interesting here. Stacy's saying, apparently Ozempic manufacturer neglected to protect their patents in Canada, so there'll be knockoffs. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. I can see that. Intellectual property, guys, you have to be very fierce in protecting it. But that's why they're doing this. That's why they're going after it. But they want to point out these patents are bullshit. We don't want them anymore. Now they're talking about the breach of contract. And this is where you get to the oral agreement. They entered into a valid and enforceable verbal agreement. Oral agreements, you can have an oral contract that nobody would challenge the validity of the patent so long as there was never a patent lawsuit filed against B&T or its customers. B&T performed all its obligations or conditions as part of the agreement, but Surefire breached it. And it's got, guys, think about this, multi-million, billion dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars at stake. And these guys did this shit on a handshake. I mean, think about it. Like, the amount of defense contracting and money available. Yeah, there's a lot of money at stake here, guys. So they also now talk about the tortious interference with the business relationships. Well, what the ones with Sons of Liberty, it ruined their business relationship. By deceiving plaintiffs' customers into believing that they were infringing on a patent, these customers for B&T were like, sorry, we can't work with you anymore. It makes them look bad. Because of the wrongful conduct, they likely would not have lost accounts. It would have made more sales. Yeah. Sons of Liberty was like, hey, we'll keep selling these. We have to cancel orders now. It causes irreparable injury because if you're considered stealing patents and violating them, that's never a good look. Think about it with the Streamlight, guys. If there was another company violating these patents, that would look shitty on the company. And plaintiffs had no adequate remedy at law. So they're seeking an injunction. Because otherwise they're going to be irreparably harmed. So they demand judgment. They demand, damages. They want pre-judgment, post-judgment, and any other relief deemed proper. And B&T is there demanding a jury trial. And it's funny. Shoemaker, Loop, and Kendrick, they have an office in Toledo. I'm actually gonna. I reached out to this guy, Todd Timmerman, to see if he'd come and talk about this at some point because I think it'd be kind of interesting if he would. Ironically, High Point never has to sue over patent infringement. Well, that's not the right company. High Point is HI. So that's it, guys. That is the interesting things here. This is, while patent law and all that could be boring at times, this stuff is very well broken down as basic issues in patent law and IP law. It's very, very basic here, but it is very interesting how these things work out. And it's involving something cool. Gun stuff. In the case of the suppressors, that's cool. But just even the flashlights that mount on guns. Even the flashlights that mount on guns. There's big fucking money in this. And that's the reason why people do this. You have a patent and you have a trademark because there's a lot of fucking money at stake. If there was no money at stake, nobody would care. Nobody would care if there was no money at stake here. But there are hundreds of millions of dollars at stake with these things. So it's actually very interesting how these go. Jefferson says Matt Rat said these were like the Louboutin Red Souls. I agree, yeah. Richard Gruber says, take my precious neighbor pennies. I'll catch the VOD in the morning. Well, thank you, Richard. Hope you're doing well, man. Jefferson Post says, maybe Shannon Bridges will be pursuing employment for 17 years. Yes. And then EDW Raptor for 10 subs. All right, chat. Like I said, I know you felt like that's a bit of a snoozer, but this was actually very important. No. And I think these cases are important. And tomorrow, we're going to talk about PSA and a lot of firearms industry getting together to take on the National Firearms Act. And then another night, we'll break down that lawsuit. But yeah, there's a lot of gun stuff brewing. And it's interesting how it's all set up. So, but yes, guys, remember, when you support Clyde and you get green, this is what you're looking for at the end of the day. Just crushing those greens and crushing the grays and making them green. That's what you're supporting, chat. That's what you're supporting. Zach J says tomorrow's show should be good then. Yes, it's going to be really good. We got all kinds of stuff. Guys. Like, there's a Mexican guy or Venezuelan dude pretended to be a high schooler. He was like 25 years old here in Ohio, and he was like hiding as a high schooler. The NFA taxes for SBRs and suppressors and short barrel shotguns is now $0. What does that mean for you? The Epstein stuff. An Australian lady murdered people by using poisonous mushrooms, which is kind of crazy. The judge in Wisconsin lost her immunity claims. So it's Safa. There's New Orleans. There's some fake trials going on. There have been terrorist attacks at ICE facilities. And Ricky Vaughn, the memester, his case got overturned in the Second Circuit. Like, we got a lot of stuff we're going to be doing tomorrow. The ICE ambush, yeah. Yes, do I realize there's a woo in the beginning? Yes, that's his actual. Yes, it is. I am aware. Little Clyde with his going, woo. Yes, I am very, very much aware. I am so aware. First time I heard it, I was like, oh, that's so cute. Joseph, do we need a law to disband the ATF? Yes, you would need to a lot to disband them. So, but yeah, guys, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about tomorrow. So we went a little longer than I thought. Damn, 2 hours. EDW represented the package in the mail for me. Yeah. Ricky Vaughn is a meme war veteran. You haven't heard his name in a long time. Yeah, well, he's been dealing with a federal conviction. So, out of the Eastern District of New York. So, he's been fighting it. He's been fighting it. Oh, EDW is saying it's not shipped yet. Okay. All right, guys. So I think we are all caught up for the night here. It's 10:30 already. Ooh, it's a little late. I'm sorry about that, chat. We might do a well, actually, I don't know if we're gonna really have time to do a members only. It's getting kind of late. So Clyde spent a long time in the recording booth. He tries, guys. He tries. He's such a good boy. I mean, he tries so hard. He tries so hard. I just, you can't fault the boy. You can't fault the boy. And speaking of a woos, because we have it now, I wish there was a better way to preserve it, but we do have a Clyde woo. We just had the Clyde woo. I gotta figure out how to cut out my part and just have him go. That's what we need right there. So we have it now. So you love the late nights. Well, thank you. Remember the golden rule: don't take pictures at gun shows. You can, but yeah, don't yeah. And don't make oral contracts with companies because they'll remember it. So yeah, I think Surefire is going to have a rough time here. Even if they win on the patent stuff, this verbal contract, this oral contract they have, this oral agreement they have is pretty much fucking binding. And I will say, James Reeves on TFB TV interviews Carl Brugger. Carl mentions that their Rotex mounting system actually came off as something else. They took from another patent and developed their device. So even their shit is like, there's someone else that we didn't steal from, but they built upon and were inspired. And it was another attachment system that they used to develop their attachment system for guns. So even their stuff is an original, which really hurts Surefire because B&T could say, we know where you came up with that from because we know what we took that from. So it wouldn't be great if Surefire, took an ass whooping there. Not so good saying, are they seeking tortious interference off a verbal agreement? No. Well, yes, in a way, yes. But because they're going after Sons of Liberty Gunworks, yes. And you can have a verbal agreement. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's better to have something always in writing, but this case they have it written in with a handshake. So yeah, this was all done with a handshake, 20 years ago. And well, it's still enforceable because the breach just happened. So, when do the free silencers and SBRs start? 90 days, right? Yeah. Yeah. You still have to submit stamps though. Trump wants us in the show at Berea this weekend. Make a cameo. Well, what? Be another fat guy with a beard and a sea of fat guys and beards at the gun show, all sweating and huffing and puffing. I mean, I don't know if I really want to be there like that. But anyways, not so good, Lynn. Thank you for being here. B&T tells Surefire to fuck off with this suit. Yeah, they are. And if Surefire loses, every company's going to... Because Surefire quick detach, like... There's fucking millions of people that have those. It's a very common system. Like, people will start making them fucking left and right. So, yeah, it would be funny to see Surefire lose here. But Surefire has acted like assholes before. They don't have the best reputation from what I understand. So, I wouldn't feel too bad if they suffered at the end of the day. Oh my God, I have so many tabs from these two lawsuits. All right, hold on here. I'm surprised YouTube didn't, like, I'm glad YouTube didn't do anything, but I thought it helped showing you guys what this gun stuff looks like. Wouldn't the contract be covered by the statute of frauds and need to be in writing? No. I mean, you know what? Well, Florida statute of frauds, it's, you know, well, hold on. Let's see what Florida statute of frauds is. I'm assuming it's same. Statute of frauds are where you do need a written contract, but it's not for land. Oh, here we go. Yes. So here are the type of thing. Oh, well, that's not working. Okay, hold on. Let's try this one here. Okay. So where it talks about things you have to do, these are the types of things the statute of fraud covers. Statute of frauds are you have to have it in writing or it's not enforceable. So, what do you need? Well, here's the things. Like, are you paying someone's debt? That's one of the things here, but that's like the entire chapter of unenforceable contracts. You know, sometimes you do need. Well, wait, where the hell is their statute of frauds? But anyways, generally, like, you have sale of land, contracts that can be completed within a year. But when you're talking about completing it within a year, this isn't that type of situation. I could see Surefire making that argument. I would make that argument if I were them. But it's very clear that, you know, you promise not to sue us. It's basically a hold harmless agreement. You promise not to sue us. And, you know, generally, like I said, it's for real estate. If it involves a sale of goods or construction contracts, you might need things like that. You know, are you promising to pay someone else's debt? But I mean, really, you could perform the I promise not to sue you within a year. It was performed. So I was thinking the year's requirement. I understand that. So 20 years of letting them say there was a deal. Yeah. Let me see here. LCW says, never liked the Bria gun show, but I don't like most gun shows. Well, yeah, sometimes gun shows are fun. But yeah, that blind guy, I hope that makes sense. You don't always need the statute of frauds. And I could see Surefire making that argument, but I could say, look, you promised not to sue us. You performed the contract within a year. Ta-da! But I think the court would want, I don't think the court's going to get in the way of that. Maddie says, do you want it? DM me. Well, do you have the clip of Clyde going, ooh, or do you just have the sound? Because if you have the clip of him doing it, yes, I would like that. So, all right, guys. Well, that is it for us tonight. 180 people. You guys are all bailing. So, oh, you just covered the statute of frauds and Barbary, so it's on your mind. Hey, man, good luck out there. Good luck. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You probably got like 2 weeks left, man. Just keep at it, homie. You're doing good. Barbary, I took Barbary, and I did great. So, if you ever have questions, don't be afraid to send me an email. If you're panicking, send me an email. Be happy to talk to you. So, all right, chat. With that said, we are going to wrap this up for tonight. And all I could say is tomorrow we got a lot of fun stuff to do. Remember, we got the Thursday night show, 9:30 p.m. And until next time, chat, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. Although Harbor Freight, yeah, they're toast. And Surefire, they're pretty toast too. They should be. They should be. And Shannon Burgess is also toast. So, good night, chat. You guys take care, and I will see you guys around.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. But please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy